On this episode of Locked On Angels, Mike Trout went deep for the first time this spring, and he looked good, and all Angel fans said, man, that felt good. But there was one spring training stat that caught my attention and caught John's attention. It's even more exciting than a Mike Trout home run. We're going to share it with you. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation.
Thank you for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, we're beginning our fourth season as the hosts of Locked On Angels. We're here every day, every weekday talking Angels baseball, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. And, you know, I was wearing a Super Halo Bros shirt on the show yesterday, and Locked On Everydayer Nathan said, love that Halo Bros shirt. And if you want to get one for yourself, you can do two things. There's a link in the episode description to go to our shop, our Halo Bros shop, or we're still taking donations for Convoy of Hope. And if you'd like to help with California wildfire relief, we're going to put you in the running for some free Super Halo Bros merch. So just send us confirmation of your donation. We'd love for you to help out with that as well. Both of those are in the episode description. Hey, on today's show, we're talking about Caden Dana, his spring performance so far, and what the coaches had to say about his performance. Reid Detmers thinks he's figured it out, and he's put in some work over the offseason. But first, Mike, let's talk about yesterday's game with a Trout home run and a Tyler Anderson start on the mound.
Yeah, that Trout home run was his first hit of the spring. It came in his second at bat after he drew a walk in his first plate appearance. John, Trout's 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and 2 walks this spring. Very Trout-like, right?
Yeah.
He said that he's having some good at bats. He's seeing some good pitches, and he's getting some good results. Trout was called out on strikes on a pitch that he clearly thought that should have been ball 4. And then he was asked later on about, hey, if there was a challenge system, would you have challenged? And he said with a smile, it would have been interesting, because he thought that ball was out of the zone. And I think somebody like Mike Trout, when he thinks the ball is out of the zone, it's probably out of the zone, right?
Got a pretty good eye up there, considering that on-base percentage and his walk rate over the years. He also tried to steal a base, but he left a little too early. Pitcher threw behind him at first, and then he was thrown out at second. Got to get that timing down if you're going to steal some bags, right? But all of us, I think, collectively held our breath when he was running the bases and trying to steal bags. Mike, Trout hitting a home run. Good sight. Wonderful sight to see. Feels like classic Trout. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great hit, great pitch.
It was a cookie.
Knocked it out, right? It was a cookie, but he doesn't miss those.
No.
And that's what you want to see, right?
Yeah.
And I wonder, John, to your comment about like collectively holding our breath, do you think that if Trout is healthy all year, that there will be a moment where we're not holding our breath anymore? Or do you think that we're going to be triggered all season long, no matter what?
I'm laughing because, and you helped me with this when we had our newborn, the first month and a half, it was like checking the monitor every 5 minutes. Is he breathing in his sleep? Is he alive? And that's how it kind of feels like watching Mike Trout play baseball these days. And you're the one who talked me off the ledge and said, that'll go away. You'll be fine. I do it every now and then, just in case, still looking. But when it comes to Mike Trout, Mike, I don't know. I think that him shedding some of that muscle weight is going to be really good for him. I am of the opinion that him being in right field, it's fine. I would never anticipate Trout saying like, I'm going to be a DH only until he's older.
Yeah.
But man, I want to put that guy in bubble wrap, and for him to do anything that would cause an issue to his legs, to his feet, to his arms, to his hips, to his back, whatever, you name it. And the thing is it's like, it's been freak injuries over the year. Like, you broke your hamate bone. What are you talking about? The torn meniscus, and then it tore again. And so it's just really difficult to see him go through those things. And I think a meniscus sort of injury has everything to do with the amount of weight he was carrying. And so I'm hopeful. I'm not going to say I'm confident, but I'm hopeful that he will stay on the field. And, thumbs down to those bozos out there like, oh, and then he got hurt, when he hits the home run and then people comment that crap. It's like, do you want to watch greatness? Do you want to watch Mike Trout play baseball? Are you new to this? Because Mike Trout is a certified Hall of Famer and was the best player of the last decade before he started getting injured. So yeah, just frustrating to see those kinds of comments, but those are just the trolls and the nerds and the bozos out there. But look, anything he can do to stay on the field, I'm all for it. At this point, some Mike Trout is better than no Mike Trout, right?
Right. And what the nerds want is Mike Trout to be traded. Either he gets hurt or they want him to be traded to their team, right? And so let's just keep him healthy. That'd be a great move.
Start there.
Speaking of a great move, Tyler Anderson was on the mound and had a pretty good start here, John. He gave up 1 run in 2 innings, but he wouldn't have allowed any runs if it wasn't for a misplay by Ward that caused a double in left field.
Yeah, we're having some trouble with sunshine out there in Tempe. And, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, maybe the time change will move things around. Nope, they stay on the same time. We're the ones that change.
Yeah.
You're the one that changed, not me. But, it seems like a lot of that is happening in Tempe right now. You guys got to get it together. I mean, you can't be doing that kind of stuff. Joe Waddell had something over his head and Taylor Ward's missing stuff. So yeah, they got to shape up in that regard.
Yeah. Anderson struck out 1 and he walked 1 in this game. He said that he actually felt pretty good about the start. He said, obviously you don't feel like you're ready to start the season right now, but luckily that's not where we're at. He said, I felt like a few things that I wanted to accomplish. Actually, I accomplished. I'm headed in the right direction. John, here's the stat, and really stats that are kind of eye-popping for the Angels. They're not spectacular, but they are good in a small sample size so far this spring. Angels starters, and it's going to be the 5 starters that will potentially be in the rotation. They have given up just 4 earned runs in 10 innings. They've struck out 9 and walked 3. That includes Reid Detmers. That includes Kyle Hendricks. That includes 2 of the guys that we're worried about, right? Really worried about. Jose Soriano's included in that. Kohanowitz is included in that. We know that Kikuchi is going to pitch this week. And so, John, is that a good sign? Those numbers seem to be pretty good indications that at least to start, they're working through things and still getting outs.
Yeah, to considering, you go up there and look what Jose Soriano did the other day. He's throwing his sinker, right? That's what these guys are doing at this point, where they're going up there just getting a feel for something, and it's their bread and butter pitch, but you're going to throw it repeatedly over and over and over again. And to have decent results while you're figuring things out, that's a good sign. Mike, I think I want to hold off on any judgment and kind of lean on what Wash said a few days ago and just think about what these guys look like after start 3.
Yes.
Right. So I'll be a little more judgmental on start 3, but start 4 is where you start to think about, okay, how are they looking? Are they putting it together? Is their command good? We talked about Detmers the other day and how, he easily should have had an out with that slider to a lefty hitter, but it stayed in the zone and it hit the end of the zone, and then it got dinky dude in and fell in.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that needs to be ironed out. These stats, though, 4 earned runs, 10 innings, 9 strikeouts, 3 walks. 3 walks.
Right.
I'll take that.
Right.
Because, man, how many Sandoval walks, Griffin Canning walks? How many walks did we have to watch all throughout last season? And so for the fact that these guys are keeping it in the zone, it feels like they're approaching it the way that they intended to approach it last year with like, hey guys, throw strikes, first pitch strikes. Like, remember that was the conversation coming into spring training, and some of the guys could do it. Some of the guys couldn't do it. And Reid Detmers is one of the guys that couldn't do it. And so to see that there's only been 3 walks from the starters so far, I think is a really good sign.
Ryan, Zephyr John came in this game, pitched a scoreless inning. John worked around a leadoff double. He struck out Gavin Lux, got Ellie De La Cruz on a grounder up to the first base line, and then he got Spencer Steer on a fly out.
You mentioned all these names: Lux, De La Cruz, Spencer Steer, Matt McClain had a great day at the plate.
Yeah,
it was basically the Reds regulars in this one. Mike, they're going to be really good. I think they got Tito, they got Terry Francona managing them for the next 3 years. Like, they're going to be real, real good. But considering the level of competition, that's something that we keep going back to. It was all the red starters, and for Zephyr John to work around some of those guys, I think that was really significant.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned the defense. They had some good plays. They had some luck, and then they had some misplays. So Yohan Moncada had a ground ball that hit off his glove, and then it deflected to Kevin Newman, and then he threw the runner out at first base. So there's some luck there. And then Travis d'Arnaud, he lost a pop-up. Guess where, John? In the sun. It dropped in foul territory. So struggling there. And then first baseman JD Davis, playing first base, by the way, made a diving stop to prevent 2 runs from scoring. So we've seen some good defense, but we've also seen some misplays so far in the few games that the Angels have been playing. And John, anytime a team struggles defensively, leads the league in errors, that's always an indication that team isn't going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so as much as we want to say, well, we can kind of work around it and we can kind of maybe get some more offense or some more pitching, whenever you see a really bad fielding team, it's a great indication that this team's probably not going to be that great of a team during the regular season. So here's what I'm saying. It's not even a question. It's more of a statement. Angels, got to clean it up, because sure. I need you to at least be 500 this year, right? Right. You gotta figure that out. I get it. Spring training, working on some things, but even just losing pop-up in the sun, and Taylor Ward's had a couple of balls that have been hit kind of wonky towards him, and he's lost. Can Taylor Ward DH and Trout go to left field, and then maybe we have like Joe Adell, right? Like those are some of the things that concern me that I've seen over the last few games. Yeah, that make me go, man, we gotta figure that out, and we gotta clean that up.
I hear you. I mean, look, some of these things, like Joe Adell had one hit right at him, and he lost it in the sun. Mm-hmm. And it's those sort of things that I'm like, okay, that's the sun, right? Yeah. And like very obviously he's going to make that catch in a normal game under normal circumstances. Yeah. Like Taylor Ward had the same thing happen to him. It was like right at him, lost it in the sun, and it falls off his glove. And so again, under normal circumstances, these guys are going to make those. The ones that concern me are, the one over Joe Adell's head, right? Yeah. Like you want to make sure he's getting good reads off of that stuff. So it feels hard to assess right now. On the note of defense, we did see Jorge Soler in right field yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
And that was significant. Made a play or two out there as well. So he's capable, and he's able to do it, and he didn't have the sun in his eyes. So there you go. That's a boon for him,
right?
In yesterday's game. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, what did management notice about Kaden Dana's spring performance so far? We're going to share the details on that coming right up.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, and thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. John, let's talk about Caden Dana. He got a taste of major league pitching, major league hitting, major league experience last year. And John, his first start was great. 6 innings, looked strong. Then his next 2 starts really struggled to even get into the 3rd inning. Dana said that it did kind of affect his confidence. It did cause him to second guess himself a little bit, but I love that he shared that he was shaken and not broken.
Stirred? Oh, sorry.
According to Dana, he said getting hit around definitely affected me and my confidence, but not to where it's fully depleted. It's still there. And he also added that even though things didn't go his way, he took a lot of things from it. One specific thing that he mentioned was slowing the game down, not trying to get too sped up. And I think a lot of the young guys on this team need to consider what Dana just said there, because I think often you're just, I'm back in the box, I'm getting ready to hit, or I'm back on the mound, getting ready to throw. You need to find a rhythm that matches a healthy pace for you, to where you're not overthinking, getting too anxious, where you're taking 3 steps and I'm walking back. All of those things are really, I think, helpful, especially for those young guys to get acclimated to the environment that they're going to be in. And it sounds like Caden Dana has really thought about that this offseason, and he did work on some stuff this offseason as well.
It's the baseball player's way of saying, I had to take a breather. Like I had to take a deep cleansing breath when I'm on the mound or I'm at the plate, right? To say, we got to slow the game down, not speed it up. And it makes sense, especially when you're a pitcher, because you're in command of the rhythm and the routine out there on the mound. Now, I know you got to battle the pitch clock and whatnot, and that doesn't seem to be an issue anymore. I know that was a big thing Didn't that start 2 years ago now? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that seemed to be an issue when it started, but it doesn't seem to be one now. And Caden Dana, of course, has certainly dealt with that in the minor leagues. So to take your time up there on the mound, slow things down, that's a really mature response for somebody who, again, is 20, 21 years old and working his way through the Angels minor league system. Mike, in some sense, I think it is good to be knocked around.
Yeah.
Especially when you had the season that Caden Dana had in Double-A. He was elite.
Right.
He was a
Right.
stud. And so to come up to the majors and see like, oh yeah, this is
hard.
next level. Yeah, this is difficult.
Yeah.
It's humbling, and it sounds like he was humbled by it, but it also sounds like he's being a humble guy about it.
John, his first spring appearance didn't go great. He gave up 3 runs in 1 2/3 innings. He walked 2 hitters. He hit a batter. But again, he's learning. And Wash said that I'm seeing him learn. He said Dana's out there still learning. You can see it. He just didn't have his command like he had the first 2 times he threw in live BP. He's learning. But what I like about him is he's out there competing. Every pitch he threw up there could have been a pitch that a hitter could have swung at, and his breaking ball was really, really sharp. There were 2 of them that I thought were fastballs, and then they darted across the plate. They just didn't ride across the plate like they were doing in September. So he's got to tighten up some of those things. John, Caden Dana, confident guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me excited about him. I know his stuff is good, and he's got this great potential, Weaver-like, Jared Weaver-like, right? But I think his confidence is something that even though he's been rocked, he said, I know what I need to work on. I know what I need to do. John, Jack Kahanowitz has also said that. Like, I love these young pitchers who are like, yeah, I got it. Sam Aldeguerri, remember he said that last year. What do you think is the difference between Reid Detmers, we'll talk about him next segment, and some of those pitchers, Sandoval, Canning, versus Kahanowitz, versus Dana, Sam Aldeguerri? Like, why do you think these guys are like, I got it, I know what I need to work on, I'm going to move on, and the other guys are like, not really sure, or it takes them longer?
Yeah. Why is it such a mystery to understand what you need to work on, what you'd like to get better at? You know, hey, you got to put a little more spin on that fastball, Caden Dana. Like, it needs a little more movement. It's kind of flat, right? And so it's that sort of thing that these guys recognize that they need to work on. Mike, I think that is the reason why the Angels are ranked last in the farm system rankings. And not to say that what they have now isn't a good thing. I think that's the result of a lack of player development from the top to the bottom. How many pitching coaches had they had over the last couple of years, right? And Matt Wise, who was filling in for what's his name? I can't think of his name
Mickey
now.
Callaway.
Mickey Callaway, who I was excited about because he's got a track record, and then he had to be a bozo and get in trouble and get fired and all that.
Right.
And then they just said, well, all right, Matt Wise, you do it. And not that Caden Dana or any of those guys were around Matt Wise, but Suarez and Canning and Detmers and Sandoval, they were around him. And so it's just like, why is it such a mystery to everybody? You and I can sit here on the show, look at Baseball Savant, communicate stats and movement, and, you know, hey, the run value on this pitch last year was this. All the data is out there.
Yeah.
And all that data is available to these teams and then some. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I understand the farm system rankings are not great, but I think that Perry Manassian, and by virtue of like Ron Washington and the coaching staff, there's a top-down effect that I think is starting to permeate the minor leagues at every level, right? And I don't know the nitty-gritty, you know, that the who's there and how they do and what they do and, you know, how they do it. Are they good at it?
Yeah.
But I do feel a lot more confident than I do feel in the past when it comes to player development. And the reason I have confidence is because of somebody like Caden Dana having confidence in knowing what he needs to change. Someone like Jack Kahanowitz, who comes up to the majors, struggles, gets back down, goes, yeah, I know what I need to fix. Comes back up. Apparently he fixed it, right? And, you know, then we talk about, well, Kahanowitz doesn't strike anybody out. Then he gets 3 strikeouts the other day, you know, that sort of thing. We see somebody like Brock Burke come over from Texas and be a stellar bullpen guy out of the pen. So Kyle Hendricks, 3 Ks, not a strikeout guy. And I realize it's all a short sample size. What I'm getting at, though, is that these guys who are on their way up or perhaps coming into the Angels organization, they just have a very different mindset of what it means to be a pitcher and a ball player, right?
Yeah. Here's why you invest in scouting, but more importantly, why it matters who your GM is and the culture he's setting.
Right.
Here's why. Those guys are confident, John. And I think there's some scouts that are looking at these guys beyond just what their skill level is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there might be another layer that Perry Manassian and his team, and it's pontificating.
It's
yes.
makeup. Perry Manassian has said, like,
yes,
we want guys with good makeup, not powder in your nose, but what makes how they're built. Play. Yeah, exactly.
It's their will. I think that that's what he's finding, because we just mentioned 4 pitchers, but John, Christian Moore's that way. Christian Moore has been like, that's right. So I see, as we're talking, like light bulb came on. I see what you're doing, Perry. I see it, right? Like he's drafting confident, strong, maybe a bit arrogant players, right? Like, hey, I know what I need to do. I'm going to go out and do it. And they're, instead of these guys who are like, man, athlete, that guy's got skill, right? But maybe there is a little bit something slow in the heart or something slow in the mind of understanding the IQ of baseball versus like a Caden Dana and a Sam Aldeguerri and George Clausen and a Christian Moore. They're going, I know what I need to work on. I'm going to go do that. There's something that's clicking faster for them. And makeup is a good word. Will is a good word. I think Perry Manassian and his team have identified, like, we just don't want athletes and we just don't want ball players. We want players that are confident that they're going to be successful and they're going to go and get it. And I'm excited about what that could potentially do for this team this year, but in the future, because gosh, do we need a culture change at the major league level.
Yeah, I think the culture is changing, and I think it started last year, and I know that it was a rough year at the major league level. At the same time, you see a lot of guys taking steps forward. But man, give me a Caden Dana, an Aldeguerri, a Jack Kohanowitz who recognize what they need to do and learn how to fix it and learn how to be better. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. This is a game of adjustments. You adjust, they adjust back to you. You adjust again, and the cycle goes on and on and on and on. But to hone in on what you're really good at and work toward that, I think is really significant for these guys.
It's snack time, John. Don't reach for the gummies. Don't reach for the candy, right? You want to reach for wonderful pistachios because they're delicious and nutritious, and they'll make Super Halo Bro Mom really happy with us.
Wonderful. Sound like Jackie Childs. Delicious, nutritious, outrageous.
I love that. Wonderful pistachios are one of the highest protein nuts around. 1 ounce, each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling full a whole lot longer. Pick up the no shells. They're my favorite. You can grab it. Perfect snack anytime. John's favorite are the in shells because he's a fidgeter, undiagnosed ADHD perhaps, but it's really good. They're both really good. Wonderful pistachios are delicious. So get snacking, get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
All right, Mike, we've been talking about the difference between a Caden Dana and somebody like Reid Detmers.
Yeah.
But then, he had that rough outing. We talked about it. We said, yeah, it's the first outing, but also it felt like more of the same.
Yep.
And so we were not encouraged by what we saw with Reid Detmers, and we were a little bit down on our luck when it comes to Detmers.
Yeah.
But he spoke with Rhett Bollinger of MLB.com, had a really great article that Rhett Bollinger put out, and it kind of, I don't know, it opened my eyes a little bit to perhaps Detmers starting to understand what we've been wanting to hear from him. What do you think?
Yeah. Obviously, he struggled, and he's the guy that everyone says he's going to be this ace. He's going to be awesome. And then when he struggled, people are like, why are you struggling? And his answers have been, not really sure.
Yeah.
I don't really know, right? And he's a quiet guy. He seems
Sure.
like a shy guy, right? I don't know if you saw the Angels social media channels. They had a pickup lines around Valentine's Day. And they were giving like cheesy pickup lines.
They're killing it, by the way, on social media.
Super good. Yeah. High five to them. Well, they talked to Reid Detmers, and he just didn't know what to do. Like, I thought I was awkward. He's more. Yes.
What do I do with my hands? Yeah.
But when he was asked by Rhett Bollinger about this offseason, Reid said this. This was the first year where I truly learned a lot about myself. Going into the offseason, I knew exactly what I needed to work on. Who is this guy?
That's the sound of me. That's the sound of me passing out behind the microphone here.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I know that his first spring start wasn't great, so take that with a grain of salt. But here's what he said. He said that he noticed his issues in 3 categories. First category was fastball command.
Sure.
He said he knows that he doesn't have an overpowering fastball. So in order for it to be effective, he needs to locate it. Detmer said if he can get strikes with his fastball, putting hitters behind in the count, then they're going to be more vulnerable to swinging and missing at, guess what? One of his best pitches, his changeup.
Right. And that slider's pretty darn nasty too. But
yeah,
I mean, he says he doesn't have an overpowering fastball, but the fact is he throws it hard, or at least he has in the past.
Yeah.
And so I understand maybe it's movement, but he's right. He's got to be able to locate it. And that's something that you and I discussed last year on the show when he started struggling. It was like, what happened to Detmers? What's the deal with Detmers is the name of the segment. And we talked about it all began and ended with location and where he put the ball. And in those first couple starts where he looked like the ace, it was pinpoint location versus being a little wild. Guys, they found it much easier to lay off his stuff and not chase and not swing and not ground out on the changeup, right? And so that was a big difference. And so I'm glad that he was able to identify that.
And then when you talk about how it was like pinpoint location, that brings up the second issue that he was addressing was his strength, because that led to problems maintaining his mechanics. It's why his location was off with a fastball. He said over the offseason, I began to improve my nutrition and my workout routine. Reid said, I'm not trying to get huge. I don't want to get huge, but attacking certain muscles and getting stronger in certain areas is what he wants. And then he added, he would definitely say by the end of last year, he was kind of beat up. And so we're attacking those areas as well. And he said he believes it will allow him to feel better longer throughout the season and really stay within his mechanics, which again goes back to why he struggles with location. If he gets wonky in his mechanics, then his release point changes, which means that he's not going to hit a spot, which means that he's going to get rocked. And we saw a glimpse of that in his last outing. So he's still working on those issues, but he says that he's identified at least the fastball and the mechanics. And then Johnny, there was a third one that he mentioned.
Yeah, he mentioned that the issue was in his head.
Yeah.
And that's something we've talked about ad nauseum. But here's the thing, and this actually gives me some empathy here, right? Because again, we were pretty down on him the other day.
Yeah.
But he put a ton of pressure on himself to perform and believe that mess with his head. So according to Reid, he's not going to do that again. He said, it's just me going out there, getting outs whenever we need outs, having fun while I'm doing that. The last couple of years have been a little stressful. Yeah. On all of us, right? All of us Angel fans and Angel players put a little too much pressure on myself this year. I took some time to really work on stuff, work on my stuff, work on my mind, and just get back to having fun. It was fun to go out there and compete every 5 or 6 days. That's the main goal.
Yeah. John, friend of the pod, Jared Timms, and Locked On Angels Hall of Famer TBW, Taylor Blake Ward, have both said that they think that Reid is a frontline starter. Now, Jared, I think, is just saying, hey, my friend TBW said this, so I'm going to align myself with that. But Taylor Blake Ward also added that he believes that Reid is the key to the starting rotation success. John, Reid believes that too. He said he still thinks that he could be a front-end starter. He said that's one of his goals. I definitely want to say that out loud. On the potential of being the number 5 starter, he said, I'm not trying to think about it. I'm just focusing on what I can control because nothing's guaranteed. And being in the minor leagues almost all season last year, he knows that. He said, I'm just going to approach it the same way that I normally would. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to go out there, compete every day, which is what I love to do. That's how I got this job, and I'm going to compete like nothing's given to me, and I'm just going to go back to my roots. So, John, I know we just talked about confidence in the last segment, and I know I bagged on Reid Detmers, and like he's in this category of unconfident, and Dana's in a new category. This feels different. However, we're gonna need to see the potential turn into performance, right?
Right. Yeah. All of the things that he's working on, they have to translate to the field, including the mental side of things. And, two guys who wear their emotions on their sleeve, Reid Detmers, Patrick Sandoval. Sandoval's not on the team. Detmers is still here. They believe in you, Reid. They believe in you. They have confidence in you. They know what you can be.
Right.
And they are confident in who you are and what you're able to do and the potential that you have. And so to know that he's doing all of this stuff, sounds like he had some hard conversations with maybe people in the organization, maybe with himself, all of that. I think that's fantastic. And I think about the start the other day, or not the start, but he got into the game the other day. Mike, I said it earlier in the show, I'm going to wait till the third, fourth appearance to be a little bit more critical, to have the magnifying glass on these guys. I really want to see them step up. And again, this brings me confidence in Reid Detmers at least starting the path to being the guy that we saw at the beginning of last season. And maybe it doesn't all connect in 2025. Maybe it takes a little bit of time, but this is a great start. This is a good place for him to be. And it's certainly better than, I don't know what I need to do. I'm lost, And so this is a great place for him to be, much better than,
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB with our friend Sully. You can find his show on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow at Locked On Angels on Twitter, at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram, whether you're watching or listening. Come on over to today's show on YouTube, get in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 10K by opening day. We're at 8.6K. Let's go. Yeah. We're almost there. We got a lot. So invite your friends, your Angel fans, all of that. And when you subscribe, it helps put the show in front of other people who might not know about the show. We've had a few of those people pop up in our comments. Mike, we're going to talk about today's game, but then what else are we doing on tomorrow's show?
Fan Mail Friday. We would love to hear from you. Love to hear your thoughts. You've had a lot of questions all week long. We'll use those. But if there's other questions you have, you can certainly comment below, or you can direct message us. You can even call our voicemail line. The number is in the episode description. Fan Mail Friday is tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right. Looking forward to that. We hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody. And we'll see you back here on Friday.
That's outrageous. Courageous.
Delicious.
Delicious.
Nutritious. Delicious.